Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week First Seed Fantasy. And this week it's just me. Everybody else kind of has a busier schedule this week, so it is just me, Kyle Krajewski, taking the reins for a little bit of a solo trip this week for First Seed Fantasy. And I'm not going to get too crazy. I'm not just going to sit here and spit 20 guys that I like this year. I'm going to do another basic mock draft. Nothing too crazy. This is just going to be a simple PPR, 2 running back, 2 receiver, tight end, flex, 1 QB, 5 benches, 12 rounds. And the past few weeks, I think we've been doing from drafting from the early picks and the later pick and kind of getting an idea of what the draft looks like from there and kind of what you get at the two edges of the draft. So this time I'm drafting from the middle. Pick 7, just because, and I'll kind of explain it, because I feel like there is a top 6 in this fantasy football season in Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, and Cooper Kupp. Actually, I'll toss in Tyreek Hill for a top 7. So because of that, I'm moving to pick 8. And because of that top 7 being there, I feel like you can't go wrong with any of those 7 guys. So because of that, I'm going to take one step out of those 7 and kind of make myself pick a little bit someone else, someone outside of there, I'm higher on everybody else that's still going in the first round. However, I feel like with those 7 guys, I feel insanely comfortable with them as my round 1 pick. So instead, I'm going pick 8. I'm going to make myself kind of be on my toes and hopefully take somebody differently unless the computer messes my plan up and lets me take one of those 7. But, that's the beauty of drafts, because whether it's the computer doing it or somebody in your fantasy league just going crazy and drafting somebody you wouldn't expect. And yeah, that's the beauty of it. So because of that, pick 8, here we go, 12-teamer. If I didn't mention that already, let's get this draft started. Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Stephon Diggs. Leaving me pick 8 with one of these guys in the top 7 that I said I was super comfortable taking. But you know what? I'm not going to take Cooper Kupp. I would. Just letting everybody know here, I would take Cooper Kupp here. I feel like the wide receivers kind of in this top grouping, Jefferson, Chase, Hill, Kupp, even Diggs are, studs. They're going to perform. It's a wide receiver heavy first round this year. Take advantage of that. It's good, but I'm taking advantage of that this time in a separate way. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. Reasoning is I am not sold on Bijan Robinson in the first round. I think if I had a late 11, 12 pick in the first is when I would take him, or at least feel comfortable taking him. I'm not convinced on his production rookie season in this offense. And I really hope I'm proven wrong, but just like I think I prefer Saquon over Bijan. I prefer AJ Brown over Bijan. I prefer Nick Chubb over Bijan. And I understand that there is hype. I understand why the hype is there. I understand why he could have a fantastic season. I want the proven fantasy assets above him. And I'm avoiding Cooper Kupp because I would assume he's taken earlier. And because of that, I'm not taking him. But I would have most likely any other time taken Kupp. I just wanted Barkley. And I was really hoping Amon-Ra would make his way back to me. But he didn't. After I went, it was Kupp, Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Patrick Mahomes, kicking off the second, Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I was hoping would make it back to me. And since he didn't, I'm eyeing Nick Chubb, quite honestly, because it's his backfield. Previous few seasons, he had Kareem Hunt kind of competing with him, taking some goal line carries away from Chubb for some reason. Receiving work was kind of directed more towards Hunt. This year, it is Chubb's backfield. So that's why I'm eyeing Chubb. Also love Derrick Henry. I think I feel like he's one of those guys that you almost expect to have a top 5 running back season, but you kind of find it hard to rank him in top 5. Like you look at the top 4 guys: McCaffrey, Eckler, Barkley, Bijan. You can add Jonathan Taylor to that list, and it's just like, all right, yeah, and then Chubb, and then Henry. It's just like, where does Chubb fit in the top 5 there? I think he's got that top 5 upside. I like Henry. Love Garrett Wilson. I mean, he looked phenomenal last year, and then he gets a QB upgrade, an immense QB upgrade. Looks fantastic. Jalen Waddle, love him as well. Josh Jacobs, I'm a big fan of. This area of the second round, a lot of loves. I'll say that. A lot of guys you can feel super I would hope you feel comfortable taking these guys in the second round. It's your second round pick of the fantasy football draft. So you got to feel comfortable with them. And luckily, I feel comfortable with a lot of these guys. But I'm going to go a different approach than we've been drafting here in the past few weeks here at First Seed, where I think we were wide receiver heavy, especially because we had the 3 wide receivers, but with only 2 wide receivers. And I'd like to see how my third round wide receiver 1 looks. Taking Chubb, going RB to start this draft. And then after I take Chubb, it is Henry, Wilson, Josh Jacobs, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I think those are 2 great spots to take the Allen and the Hurts of the QB groups. I think Patrick Mahomes is a lock for late first, early second. And I wouldn't personally pull a trigger on Allen or Hurts until the late second. And if you're sitting there like Team 4 coming back in the second, you're just like, I know I'm not. I want one of these guys, and I would not bank on either of those 2 making it into the third. Take them if you really want them. I really want them. I'm taking them in that late second round. I'd prefer Olave over them. Higgins, kind of. Again, it's all personal preference. It's all roster construction, how you like your team to be built. And I'm sitting here in the third round with 2 running backs on my team. And this is kind of where I start looking at my roster, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the running back start, because right here I see 3 running backs that I would love on my squad: Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think the 3 of them are, Breece Hall, when he's like fully healthy, will be incredible. So I'm a little bit lower on him, but still a guy. Odd situation. But if you were to start 2 RB, this is probably where you would take Breece Hall, because then you could feel very comfortable taking and sitting with him on your bench for the start of the season. And maybe they sign Dalvin Cook. Who knows? But for right now, it's the Breece Hall show. And if that continues, third round, I'd take him as a third RB. I don't love the RB start, the 3 RBs. So if you need to try to stay away, is my personal kind of guidance there. But that's when I would take him, because then you can be like, okay, you can sit on my bench. I've got my 2 starting running backs. But then Etienne and Gibbs, huge fan of them this season. And I'm eyeing, personally, I'd be eyeing up a wide receiver. But I kind of liking Joe Burrow here and Jackson. You know what? Typically, I'd take Burrow. I like both of them a lot. I'm going to take the upside in Lamar Jackson. Give me that rushing game. Give me a round 1, 2, and 3 rushing attack in Barkley, Chubb, Jackson. And this is what I was worried about. I'm sitting here round 4 with no wide receiver. I was hoping Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper would make it back to me. They clearly did not. They went a few picks before me. They would have been, I think that those 2 are probably the latest. The latest I'm eyeing up a wide receiver 1. Because now I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore as kind of my next options here at my first wide receiver. And I like them. I like them a lot. I actually really like Terry McLaurin, who I think I'm going to draft here. But I don't love that as my wide receiver 1. But you know what? I like loading up on the wide receivers later in the draft. So I'm very comfortable with that. But again, personal preference. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen is probably the end of the tier break for my own kind of rankings and preferences of the guys that I would want as my wide receiver 1. And I really hate Team 11 right now. He's kind of messing up this draft. Because, I mean, you can only start 3 wide receivers any given week in this kind of roster construction I have here, and he drafted 4. Kind of annoying, but that's how the bot works. If for the hell of it, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Let's make this, let's just make it look a little bit prettier. Just to make the draft board look a little bit more reasonable. Team 11 is not going to break this. And because of that, I'm going to take Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 1. Happy with it. I don't love it. I'd rather have Cooper or Allen, but Terry McLaurin, I think, could have a very good season. Let's ride. I think with Barkley, Chubb, and Lamar, I think I've got the upside there to swing on Terry McLaurin as my wide receiver 1. And then it's tight ends are flowing. After I took McLaurin, it was 3 running backs. Then Kittle and Hawkinson went with 3 more QBs. Fields, Herbert, and Lawrence taken. Kind of making me feel really good about taking Lamar. Because I would have waited for either Herbert or Lawrence for this round, and they were both just taken. Now I'm very happy I have Lamar because it's kind of like my personal, entrance into these drafts, or I guess thoughts into these drafts, whether it's my own personal draft or kind of like into these drafts. I want one of these top 10 QBs, 3, 4, top 8 QBs. I love these guys. I think after Lawrence, like after this Lawrence Herbert round of round 5, then I'm waiting. Whenever Deshaun Watson goes is probably when I'm snagging a guy, or Kirk Cousins. Daniel Jones has been really interesting to me as a very late round QB. But I very much prefer these guys up here, these top 8. Any one of them, really. I think it's a solid ranking in ADP that, I guess the fantasy football community has figured out this season. Because I'd love any 8 of them. I think it's ranked pretty accurately. But I love Lawrence and Herbert. I'll say this on every video that we do. I think the Chargers and Jaguars are going to take huge, huge jumps forward in productivity. And I think Herbert and Lawrence are going to benefit from that immensely. So those are my guys. Those are my guys later here as at QB. And I'm back on the clock in the 5th round. And I've got 2 running backs, a QB, and 1 wide receiver. And my eyes are very much avoiding Kyle Pitts here. Not interested, guys. Drake London's interesting. What was he last year? The wide receiver 31, and I'm taking him in the 5th. Probably an upgrade in the offense. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in on London this year. Not sold on Watson. Love these next 3 guys in Godwin, Ayuk, and Pittman. I'm going to draft London, and just like a sneak peek into the 6th round, I'm going to aim to take Pittman, Ayuk, or Godwin if they make it back to me to get my flex spot there. Running back here, this is where I think the dead zone kind of exists. Dobbins, Alexander Madison, Kamara, those 3 do not excite me. I get the hype for any 3 of them, but I'm not personally sold. Akers and Connor, I'm interested in. I'm not biting and drafting them early though. So yeah, give me Drake. I'm gonna hope for one of those wide receivers to make it back to me. Waller just went. Wow. Waller, computer took Darren Waller and Goddard ahead of Kyle Pitts. Understandable, computer. Very understandable. Waller, guys, I am not in on Waller. It's been 3 whole seasons since this guy's had. Yeah, he's 30 and he hasn't played a full season since 2020. He's entering an offense that could upgrade. We talked about this on our boom bust episode a few weeks back. Zach and I don't love Darren Waller. I'm seeing a lot of hype. He's a target hog in camp. It's not moving the needle on me. I'm not sold on Waller, but I'll stop rambling. I'm gonna take Brandon Ayuk. Love Brandon Ayuk. I think he was the wide receiver. What was he? Wide receiver 6 from wide receiver 8 from week 6 on. I'm in. Oh, he's got the upside. I think he is odd to say that he is QB proof. I think he's a phenomenal player. I love Ayuk in the 6th round. Oh, love it. Wide receiver 3. Give me that all day. Back here in the 7th. Ooh. I see 2 RBs I'm definitely going to discuss right now. Kind of scrolling through. A tight end. Ooh. You know what? All right. I'm doing that. These guys picks. All right. I got 2 teams after me that haven't taken a tight end. So there's a good chance they'll take a tight end here at the turn. I'm eyeing Evan Ingram. I'll say Evan Ingram's name every single video we do, but I don't see him making it back. Team 9 and Team 12 need tight ends, and with him and Freiermuth both kind of jumping up the draft board here, one of them's going to be taken. I'm going to take Evan Ingram, and I'm going to hope David Montgomery or James Cook make it back to me. If not, I'll be very happy with Dotson on my bench. And Gibson and Dillon at RB are kind of guys I'm also thinking of. But I'm taking Ingram, hoping on Montgomery and Cook. If not, I'll look elsewhere. Ingram went. So then we see, Deshaun Watson and Tua go. Dang it. Well, I was wrong. Team 9 and Team 12 did not take a tight end. Instead, Team 12 took the 2 guys I wanted, Dotson and Cook. Montgomery went to Team 10. So I guess hard to gamble on waiting on a tight end and being like, I think he can make it back. Don't do that. If you've got guys after you that need a tight end and you've got juicy options like Freiermuth and Ingram and even Njoku there, I say juicy, solid option. And you want one of them, don't bank. Try not to bank on it unless you really want the other players a little bit more than that tight end position. You never feel like you're forced to pick and choose your starting tight end in the top 10 rounds. Don't feel forced to do anything. But just know that, you saw what I was looking at. Team 9 and Team 12 did not have tight ends. I thought it was very, very reasonable that a tight end would have gone to either one of them, but I guess they saw me take Ingram and they were like, cool, let's wait on it. I don't know what the computer's thinking, if it even thinks that. Instead, I'm here, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, quarterback, and tight end. I'm looking at bench. I've got my full starting roster here. I don't draft, personally, my full starting roster and then fill out bench. If I were to take a 4th wide receiver before tight end or even 4th wide receiver before a 2nd running back, go for it. Take the best players. Fill your roster out where you want. This is just how the cookie crumbled this draft. So I'm drafting for bench. So I'm here. 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. I really wanted Montgomery and Cook. All right, I see a few guys later in the running back zone area that I can wait on. Instead, I'm going to take wide receiver Jordan Addison. Why I think he's the clear-cut wide receiver 2 here in Minnesota. You can make arguments for KJ Osborne all you want. I think Addison is a spectacular prospect. And there was a wide receiver run. Now I am very happy I took a wide receiver. Took Addison. I think he's a fantastic prospect. He's not going to be clearly not going to be the wide receiver one in Minnesota. But I think Minnesota, we've seen productivity for 2 wide receivers in Minnesota for a few years now with Adam Thielen. And now that he's not there, who's wide receiver 2? I think it's Addison. I think he has the skills to be the wide receiver 2 there. I almost can guarantee he's going to be the wide receiver 2 there and be a productive one at that. Give me Addison, my wide receiver 4. He's my bench player. Very happy having him there. And I can picture weeks where I'm swapping him and Ayuk out at flex. I'm here in the 9th. I've got 4 rounds left to go. 4 picks left. I'm going to go running back. Right off the top of my head, these 2 guys, Rashad Penny, Samaje Perine, are my favorites here at showing for the running back. Penny, I think Philly's going to use multiple running backs this year. I don't think they would have signed Penny had they had zero interest in using him to his ability. And his ability is great. And then Perine, Denver sought out Samaje Perine this year. I personally don't think Javonte is going to start week 1. I think he should. I really hope he takes a week or 2 and kind of really guarantees his health. But who knows? I don't know how he's feeling. Word is that he's feeling great. So if he's out there, hell yeah. But if he's not, I think it's a Samaje Perine show. Great things coming from camp from Perine. Sean Payton had the world to say about Perine kind of after they signed him or after he was signed, whichever one came first. I like him a lot. I think he's a great kind of later round running back that you can have on your bench. And who knows? Javonte takes his time coming back, you've got a starting running back. Or Javonte just is really slow. Maybe it's a shared backfield that we know Sean Payton loves to have. At least he did in New Orleans. Who knows? Maybe it's a shared backfield on a semi-productive offense. Hopefully, I really hope Denver is good this year for the sake of humanity. But I'm taking Penny. I think his ceiling is a little bit higher than Perine. And Perine went 2 picks later. Understandably so. Aaron Rodgers just went. Hell yeah. As your QB2. My thoughts on taking a second quarterback, know your league. If you are, I think by default, don't take a second quarterback. You don't need to. You can find alternate options on the waiver if you need a backup or if you need a bye week replacement. But also know your league. I say that because any other league, I'm not drafting a second quarterback. But I'm in a league with a bunch of guys who are every year going to draft 2 quarterbacks. And because of that, I feel inclined to take a second quarterback because my quarterback goes down, or if I need to hit the waiver wire for a quarterback, it's dead because there are 24 quarterbacks drafted, or 23, not counting my second quarterback. And because of that, it's a QB wasteland. So because of that, I dropped a QB in that league, a second quarterback. So know your league, know the guys you're playing with. If you see 4 guys take a second quarterback, there's a good chance the majority of the guys in your league are going to be taking a second quarterback. Go for it. Don't draft a quarterback when you need depth. If you're like, oh, I'm going to take a second quarterback before my first bench running back. No, don't do that. Take your guys, fill out your roster, feel good about your depth, and then draft your second quarterback if you're going to. But by default, I'm not a fan of it. But I'm back on the clock. 10th round, 3 picks left. Jameson Williams went right before me. Hell yeah. I'm really hoping that when he comes back, that he's a stud for Detroit. But yeah, I'm on the clock. Right now, I'm looking at, you know what? I'm just going to pull the trigger on him. Devon Achane. I'll explain while the round's going. Camp notes, He looks incredible. He looks fantastic. I think if I open his player card, it's going to be a Jalen Waddle quote. Oh, no, it's an injury. Cool. Jalen Waddle had huge things to say about him. Just hype galore about him in camp. I wouldn't say I'm buying it. I'm interested. I'm piqued. It's piqued my interest. So in a 10th round for a running back, hell yeah. I'm a fan. I feel like if you were to start RB and then just wait, or even as like a zero RB kind of guy, a Kane is incredible. And I think rumor is Dalvin Cook's going to go to the Jets, and that basically eliminates Miami from being in the RB hunt, to my knowledge. So that gives a Kane the backfield. Aside from who else is there? Raheem Mostert. Sure. I think it's going to be a weird backfield to start the season. I'll be honest. Don't expect week 1 stud-like numbers or starter-like numbers from McCain. We'll probably see a weird split backfield. Who knows? Because McDaniels is weird. But I get it. It works for some teams, and I think it'll work for them. But sure, 10th round, a Kane, I'm in. I love it. I actually really like that a lot. I would have wanted Herbert a little bit more. Starting running, my personal choice for starting running back in Chicago. I think he's going to have I think in this range, that late 9, early 10th round running back guys, I think they look good. I think this is a great area to be drafting running backs, and then you can just coast on through the rest of the draft, not feeling like you need a running back. Back on the clock. I think I'm going to try to end this draft with 2 wide receivers, but I'll keep on the all tab just in case a random wide receiver running back I like pops up. But I'm eyeing the receivers right now. It's not great. I like a few of these guys. I'm probably going to take a few of these guys. I'll take Sky Moore, who, what is it? I could be misinterpreting news. I think Sky Moore has very good prospects of being the, I guess, wide receiver 1 in Kansas City. Ignore this guy, please. Please ignore this guy. You won't find him on any of my teams, but who am I? I'm just a guy drafting that you're watching. I have no interest in Tony, and because of that, my eyes go towards the other wide receivers on this team. Rashee Rice, rookie, looks great as well. I just have personally a little bit more interest in Sky Moore. And I think, these later rounds are where you're taking maybe not dart throws, but like guided dart throws. You kind of have a feeling of potential and high potential in these guys. And because of that, my guided potential guides me towards Sky Moore for his potential of being the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City. So, hell yeah. The other guy I'm going to take here, I'll throw out a few names, but I know who I'm going to take. Tank Bigsby. I'm hearing great things from him out of camp. I don't think he's going to be the running back 1 in Jacksonville. Don't draft him expecting that. Please. I think he's going to look great when he's on the field, but that's when he's on the field. But he looks good. I'm hearing very big things from him. Kendra Miller, he had an up and down, I guess, week this past week with the random news that New Orleans was signing Kareem Hunt, and then it turns out he wasn't being signed to New Orleans. And Kendra Miller, his stock just nosedived and came right back to where it was. He's interesting. Rookie running back. Hell yeah. Take your shots on rookies. They tend to like to pay off for some reason. But just be patient with them. Nico Collins. I'm excited about Nico Collins. And I'll throw out, he's probably much deeper on the list, but Robert Woods, you're going to get the wide receiver one in Houston. It's not going to be weekly starting quality wide receiver one in Houston, but you're still getting the starting wide receiver in Houston. My bet is it's Nico Collins. Robert Woods' name has been thrown around a little bit, inklings of his name. He's probably like a late, like 15th, 14th round guy to toss on your bench. But Nico Collins looked really good last year. He had a few flashes. I think he's an interesting name to target here. I mean, in the 12th round too. Jeez. Zay Jones last year was the wide receiver 26. I have to pull that up every time because I forget it. Wide receiver 26 last year. You can get him in the 12th round. I know they added Calvin Ridley, but that's not to say that he still doesn't have a relationship with Trevor Lawrence. I think Zay Jones is a guy who can plug and play on weeks that you can expect high-performing offensive points from Jacksonville. He's a guy that I'll probably have a bunch of this year and currently already do. But I'm going to draft rookie wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, a guy who, again, could be the wide receiver one on his team. I'm taking Mingo at rookie, high potential, high ceiling. Just a guy that I'm throwing out there as potential. Again, these are guided dart throws. Sure, I like Jonathan Mingo, and I've heard very good things about him out of camp. So that is it. This is a 12-team, 12-round draft. 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. Kind of like how it looks, starting running back, and then taking that QB. I like these starting wide receivers. I think I would have loved it more if I had like an Amon-Ra and then Terry and Drake London, but then who would my RB2 be? It looks really good. I really like this. This is from pick 8, starting with Saquon Barkley. Feel free to trash this squad or trash any other nonsense that I missed aside from Keenan Allen and Brees. Trash it and let me know what you think. Do you hate this? Do you love this? Did the solo act go well? Am I doing well on my own? I sure hope so. But 12-team mock. And before I say my goodbyes, I want to show you guys something new. We at First Seed are partnering with Rival Fantasy. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they've got some pretty cool stuff going on this summer, or this upcoming NFL season. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. This is Rival Fantasy, a little bit of a new kind of take on, just like I don't want to say like just like fantasy games. You can deposit money, you can like put money on these you can make picks with that money, and just kind of have a good time. So like for example, this is their challenges tab. Currently there's a majority of MLB contests and challenges. I'll show you that. So like who will score more fantasy points, and you kind of pick a guy and you make your bet. And you just kind of place it. But for example, for the NFL, when it loads, I think this is for tonight's, Friday, August 11th, for tonight's preseason game. Who will score more fantasy points? Denzel Mims of the Lions or Greg Dortch of the Cardinals? My personal pick would be Greg Dortch. They're on like $5. Place bet. This is currently live. It's currently available. Or you can do this kind of during the season. There will be like these weekly matchups. Or if you don't like this one, you can deselect skip challenge and it'll toss up 2 different names or one similar name and someone different. Yeah. Who will score more fantasy points? Just making that pick, making that bet, placing it, letting it roll. The other available options, fantasy bingo. You basically, right now there's MLB that takes place today, an NFL kind of for week 1. But basically what you do is you build a DFS, daily fantasy style roster. So like if we were to buy cards, you create a roster. You basically create your team. let's say Brock Purdy, just throwing out names here, James Cook, Trey McBride. You build a squad of guys that you basically think are going to perform, and you get a bingo card. I'm just filling this out. Don't take this as advice. Running back, Jalen Warren, sure. Kicker, Jason Sanders. Submit. Pick your make. Basically, it's $1 per card. You can get 5 cards, 75 cards, 100 cards, 10. You buy bingo cards. I'm not going to do that because I'd rather put a little bit more thought and excitement into that. But you build a roster and you buy cards. And these bingo cards kind of come with challenges. So, like, a few examples are like 3 total touchdowns. If 3 total touchdowns are scored by any one of those guys, so like the quarterback throws 3 total touchdowns, boom, you got that box. You got that square. Somebody has over 50 rushing yards. Boom, you got that square. And you basically win these. You win bingo. You win the prize pool. Yeah, you can see here. 75% of the prize pool goes to you if you get the full square. If you get your full tile, like your full board covered. 15% of the prize pool is for if you win diagonally, vertically, horizontally, and 10% of the prize pool goes to if you get postcard, but any 4 corners. And the prize pool, it goes up when you buy it. You buy in, prize pool goes up, and you win based on your roster and your bingo cards, which I think is really cool. And then the other option is fantasy book. Again, just MLB, but you select between 2 to 5. Yeah, please select 2 to 5 players who you think will beat their projections. So like, let's use MLB for an example. I think Jose Barrios, Juan Soto, Freddie Freeman, and Kyle Tucker. I think they're all going to go. Oh, I think Kyle Tucker's going to go over. Freddie Freeman's going to go under. Juan Soto over. Jose Barrios over. You make these selections over, under, over, under, over. You basically make your gamble, your bet, $4. 4 selections is 7.5 times entry. So $4 to make these 4 selections count. And I'd win $30. $4 and the 30 by picking over under fantasy points. And quite honestly, I'm not huge into MLB, or I'd have a little bit more guidance here, but you can guarantee Zach and I will have our picks as the NFL season gets closer and as the NFL season kind of goes on. But this is just a taste of what Rival Fantasy has to offer. And they've got a few season-long options that are coming up that are currently in the works. But right now, they've just got mocks. So challenges, fantasy bingo, and fantasy book, all available currently for MLB. But get ready for some NFL action. And we're going to be talking about it quite a bit. But in all this, I wanted to showcase it because with code FIRSTSEED, or if you use the link in our description, you will get a deposit match up to $200. First deposit match, I should say. So if you log in, you create your account in Rival Fantasy using our promo code FIRSTSEED, and you put in $50, you're like, I'm going to play with $50. You get an extra 50. So you pay 50, you throw in, deposit $50. You now have $100 to play with. And then you also get a free $25 voucher. So what that allows you to do is you say, I think Shohei is going to score more fantasy points. You get a free voucher, $25 free bet on us, with our promo code FIRSTSEED. So again, promo code FIRSTSEED, first deposit match up to $200 and a free $25 voucher. It's free money. It's a new way to play. It's a hopefully I didn't lose you there. It's a fun new way to play fantasy. Rival Fantasy. Use code FIRSTSEED and join us there. We'll have a few options, of our picks in the coming weeks, or as the season comes closer, and as we get like week 1 action, week 2 action. We'll have season action ready for you and picks available. But again, get prepared. Get used to some MLB action. Use code FIRSTSEED. Now you're probably tired of my ramblings, but this has been First Seed Fantasy. Just Kyle Krajewski coming at you this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, hopefully with me and one or two other people. Thank you again for being here.